Good morning.
Mics on both sides. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. Start, Henry. Hey, Lance, how did this bye week go overall, and was it different at all, given that it's the third and you haven't had three of them this season before?
Yeah, it's definitely unique to have three of them. I thought it went well. Um, we tweaked it a little bit differently than the other two. We gave the guys off Saturday and Sunday, practice today. Um, I think some guys got out of town and got a chance to go home and stuff. But we kind of tweaked the middle practice a little bit. It was more instructional and slowed the pace down of that one. But practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on the field, and then had some lifting and meetings on the other 2 days. So pretty consistent. And I thought they were spirited and moved around pretty well today on the grass.
Is there any reason why you tweaked it, or?
Talking with our leadership group, they kind of had asked about the 2 days of maybe some time mentally, then versus practicing Sunday and having off today. So they talked about it. We looked at it, and I thought at this stage, kind of you said with three of these, that it was worth doing and kind of give them that little extra break there mentally and kind of help their bodies hopefully a little bit as we head into these last two.
Against Arizona, Jaleel got a lot of playing time at corner. Saeed had some when he came back from the suspension. How do you feel about where you guys are at with corner, especially since moving Dalen Todd inside?
I thought, Jaleel Hurley, first of all, is a very, very, very talented young player. He continues to work on consistency and those things, but I think he has strung together his best time since he's been a Jayhawk. He's had some really good practices, been able to contribute some on special teams, and he earned the right to be out there, and he's done a good job. Saeed, it's played some of the nickel spot, and then being out at corner. Having to sit out that first half, I thought he played pretty well again. Had a nice pass breakup, possible pick there that didn't happen. But overall, looking at where we're at, even with Jalen playing at the nickel spot, we feel good, that probably as good as we have felt all year about the depth and the health of the four guys playing.
Dak Brinkley had 2 sacks against Arizona. Now that he's back healthy, what have you liked about what he's shown you back there during the games?
Yeah, he's done a really good job in pass rush. He's one of probably, him and Leroy, probably, and Dean, and they're our best pass rushers, obviously. The thing that you're really pleased with Dak is he's always kind of shown flashes of having a chance to help this team, but he's starting to string together the consistency in his approach and practice. And that's just maturing sometimes to understand about you got to be able to go out there each and every day, because Dak would have a good week and then he wouldn't have as good a week the next week. And Ty Woes kind of had those talks with him in that, but again, he's stringing, like a couple of these other guys have stringing together some good work here late down the stretch and earned himself some more time.
When it comes to some of those younger guys, redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores, do you feel like they are starting to push as the season goes on, pushing for kind of that playing time?
I think it's, again, I think so. I think we have guys that continue, excuse me, to get better and have an opportunity to push for more playing time. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
During the bye week, did you guys have several points of focus or things that you really went in after doing some self-scout that you decided really hey, we need to focus on this and improve that? Were there some specifics you guys had?
Again, trying to work specific, probably, red zone areas again, and still continue, but as I've said to you guys before, that's always part of what we're doing, trying to get some more competitive part on that on Thursday, working those areas, being more consistent, probably breaking up our early scout team stuff. I think we did some more situational things of areas where, again, we weren't good in third downs in Tucson, and to be able to be better in that down the stretch is going to be critical. And we do, and just on that, I'm sorry, and to just when we do the red zone stuff, we do that late in practice, offense versus defense. So we're trying to do it at the end of practice, like end of game, trying to simulate the best you can within practice.
It's sort of a follow to that, but
When you have extra time like that, especially this late in the season, did you find anything that you didn't expect that maybe you will emphasize over the last couple of games that you've thought, well, didn't see that coming, or is it kind of a you are who you are and it's just fine tuning and tweaking and things like that?
You know, you're always trying to to keep evaluating yourself, reevaluating, looking at players, like kind of some of the things you're talking about. Who's coming on late that can give you some snaps when other guys are wearing down a little bit. But I do think, Matt, that it's still critical late in the year when you're always analyzing player load and things like that, and where the bodies are at and where they're at mentally. You still got to stay true to fundamentals. You really do. You got to make sure you don't. If you're looking to trim some things down in practice, you still got, like last week. We did a special teams tackling circuit and things like that. Again, defense does tackling circuits weekly and things like that, but your offensive players who play special teams, you don't have a chance every week within the model to always get that. So to make sure they're working on some of those things, ball security, all the little things, takeaways, all the things that we want to try to make sure that we're staying in tune to, we want to keep there.
and then you had mentioned, I think before Arizona, that Daniel and Le'Shawn were as good as they've been health-wise.
Still there, and how good?
Not
does
as
that
good
feel?
as we'd like right now, no. Yeah. Not as good as we'd like coming out of that one. So we'll see where it takes us.
When you look over Iowa State, what do you see from them?
Again, Matt Campbell and his staff have been so consistent, done such a great job there. They got off to a great start. They've been hit hard by the injury bug and things that kind of, probably took their season a little bit different than what it was heading. But again, a big win for them down at TCU. A talented physical football team, well coached. Again, when you talk, talking these other things, you talk about a team that still plays with great fundamentals and smart. Even though they've, like I said, been hit hard in some spots. Rocco Beck's an excellent quarterback. I've always enjoyed watching him play. I just think as far as a guy who's very consistent, operates the way they want him to operate that offense, it's been impressive. Two excellent running backs who are run hard, okay? Motions and shifts and alignments with the use of their tight ends. I put them with K-State, and there's, always impressive tight ends, always use them very well. Obviously, they lost a couple of receivers to the NFL last year, brought in some other guys. They've been productive for them as well. Coach Heacock on defense has done a great job in that 3-3-5 with the star player and give you a lot of different looks, cause confusion, utilize a lot of different things. Dominic Orange is a local guy here that very impressive. He's had the kind of career that all of us felt he would as a college football player. So all those things are going to force us to be at our best. I think again when you looked at the early part of the year that Iowa State was a team that many thought would be had a chance to play for the conference championship, and I'm sure they look at after getting their sixth win that they still have a way to have an excellent football season, and they're going to be ready to go.
You guys have won 3 straight against them. Is there something in the matchups there that have favored you? Or?
No, we just have to make sure we're ready to go again. We've had some really good close ball games with them and found a way, and I can still remember, and I talked to some of the guys who are still here. Remember our first year going up there, and they really got after us, and that was one that probably showed that we're a long ways away, and then obviously we've been able to close gaps on people and stuff, but we've got to be able to go up there, be at our best, play our best football of the year, and find a way to get our 6th win, and that's a focus.
How's Kelly and your family doing?
Well, I appreciate you asking. She's doing fine. it's been a long fall, John. It has been, and appreciate everyone that's reached out, people that have helped, contribute to what she thought was really important. She had surgery last week and is recovering now. So, but appreciate your thoughts, and and she's tough, and it's kind of sad that you gotta schedule family surgeries around open weeks and stuff like that. But I'm truly blessed, and but thoughts and prayers are appreciated, and she'll battle.
Forgive the question. This is something that doesn't happen, but when you hired DK, do you talk to Matt Campbell at all, or what does it kind of look like with DK's experience at Iowa State?
I didn't talk to Matt. I'm trying to remember if I did briefly. I don't think I did. I talked to others that touched base with him a little bit more, though. Jason Candle and some others that through some other connections of research that way. But I can remember way back, even being my first year at Buffalo, and Matt was still the head coach at Toledo, looking at his staff and seeing DK's name, and when DK was a name and expressed interest in our job, just because of Matt's background and how he's gone about it and how he's been consistent at a place that's not easy to win, that was highly attractive to me, and I still feel that way about DK, and because of some of the things that are always, when you look at programs like that and the success that they've had.
When you look back at the Arizona game, I think the defense kind of stepped up in a lot of ways outside of that last drive. But do you see anything different in that game versus some of the games where you guys have played other prolific passers and not done quite as well?
No, I agree with you. Again, and I said that about late game decisions. Was I thought we were playing some of our better football and defensively, and it felt like we had a good beat on what they were trying to do, and again getting 5 sacks and being aggressive, and there were some newer wrinkles and some things that we threw at them, and I thought we executed well. But again, I think there were some things that. We went into that game pretty healthy too, that in some spots, and I thought that we played with really good energy and things like that. So,
and obviously Ames is always a difficult place to play in. Is there anything you guys do differently for Iowa State to kind of simulate the environment that they have versus like other teams per se?
There's only so much. I mean, most away games will overemphasize, crowd noise and things like that, continue to make that very difficult in practice to communicate, almost to the point where, if I've ever shared this story, we were at Buffalo, we were going to play at Penn State, and that's a pretty loud place, and we cranked it so loud that the players actually said that the game was quieter than practice. It was easier. So I guess if you can, whatever you have resources to you to make it very close to impossible, that they have to really, because what you really have to do again is then focus in on what you have to do, the little things like we talk about with details, but with communication in your eyes, and not relying on somebody always telling you've got to get the signal, you have to see things, and that. So we try to emphasize that.
I think this may have come up a little bit last year with Baylor, but what's the dynamic or the challenge of playing as a team on their senior day?
Probably managing the early rush of emotion that a lot of times that team will come out with. They'll be usually it can go either way. I think we've talked in the past. Sometimes I've been part of programs where we do senior talks in our program here now, but Coach Gildersleeve does a lot of those at the end of the summer workouts. And one of those reasons was way back when I first became a head coach, we used to do them the Friday night before the senior day game. And they got very emotional and very draining, and a point to where you actually can be flat going into it. But many times going into it, you can see that extra energy and enthusiasm that a lot of these people, that seniors and teams will take the field with, and you just got to make sure that you kind of weather any of that early and let it get back in the game mode and go from there.
And then just going off your comments about the running back health not being where you want it to be, is that the same with the rest of the team, or do you feel like the team in general is in a pretty good place health-wise?
We're decent right now. I guess you got to wait 48 more hours to really see it, right? But we're decent, not as good as we were heading to Tucson, but we'll see, and have great faith in our training staff and doctors that will get us as close as possible.
Reflected on the Arizona game, I think you talked post-game that you weren't sure at that 4th and 2 call if you would have called it the same way looking back on it. Has your perspective on that play changed at all in the days past?
No, I probably look, again, if you could look in the crystal ball that says you're not going to slow them down and enough to prevent it. The variables of Jalen not being on the field of that, but I probably look back at it if you ask me again right now, because especially if you've seen what happened, yeah, I'd have gone for it. And I can't do much about it. It still eats at me. And we were going for it until it was said that Jalen wasn't in the game, and so. But again, to put that on anyone other than myself, that's on me, and made the wrong choice.
Anything else for Coach?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.